Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, it's far from over. Petitioners are set to appeal the COMELEC First Division's dismissal of the Marcos disqualification cases. But a former Bureau of Internal Revenue chief believes a government official who violated the tax code should be perpetually disqualified from office. Former BIR chief Kim Henares and election lawyer Emil Marañon join us live. With the dismissal of the three consolidated petitions seeking to disqualify Bongbong Marcos from running for the elections, petitioners are expected to file their appeal before the COMELEC and Bank this week. But the debate continues among finance and tax officials. Should Marcos be perpetually disqualified from running for office with his previous tax conviction? Let's go straight to the source of the story. First off, we have election lawyer Emil Marañon. Attorney Marañon, welcome to the source. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning po. Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome. So with the first division and also the second division junking the cancellation of BBM COC and also junking the disqualification petitions, what's it looking like for the petitioners, their chances when it comes to the COMELEC and Bank?
Okay, looking at the current composition of the NBank, it has currently 4 members. So that's acting chairperson Inting, Commissioners Bulay, Commissioners Ferolino, and Commissioner Casquejo. So actually, if you look at the composition, Casquejo and Ferolino already voted in favor of Marcos, and Commissioner Inting, in their own decision, also voted in favor of Marcos. So essentially, that's already 3 votes in favor of Marcos, and only Commissioner Bulay is yet to vote on the issue. So in order to reverse the decision of the COMELEC, you will need 4 votes. So that would mean that for the petitioners to actually reverse the decision of the division, they will actually need all these 3 members to reverse their votes at the division level. So this would mean po na kailangan po ng 4 na boto. And I don't think that these 3 commissioners po will reverse their position at the NBank level. But of course, I don't want to preempt their decision. But based on my experience, it is very rare po that situation will happen.
I just wonder if there could be new arguments that could be put forward by the petitioners so that the 3 commissioners who have previously voted for BBM to continue his presidential run could change their mind.
Well, basically, this is already at the level of the reconsideration law. So that this would mean that this is a mere reiteration of the previous arguments. But of course, nothing will stop the parties from actually introducing new arguments at the level of the NBank. But then again, looking at the numbers and the individual votes of the members, medyo mahirap na po i-reverse yun because for the petitioners, to get a reversal would require, as mentioned, 4 votes. So they have to be unanimous. So again, as I mentioned, to expect that the 3 commissioners will reverse their position as regards to disqualification of Mr. Marcos is quite a very rare occurrence, if you were to ask me.
But also there could be the possibility of the appointment of 3 additional commissioners before to be part of the COMELEC.
Yes, it is also possible. The moment that a new chairman and 2 commissioners will be appointed, of course po maapektuhan yung voting yan because now you have 7 members and you will have actually 4 members of the COMELEC who have yet to vote on the case. So, but then again, the question is kailan po mag-a-appoint yung presidente? In fact, we were expecting that he will appoint as soon as possible because na po mag-e-election na and kailangan na po sana ng panibagong member yung COMELEC. But as of now po, wala pa tayong naririnig na bagong appointment.
Is there a time frame by which a motion for reconsideration by the COMELEC and Bank must be fulfilled?
Under the rules po, there is also a time frame, but then again, the Supreme Court has been very clear and consistent na yung time frame po na nakalagay sa rules ng COMELEC are not mandatory. So in other words po, sa totoo lang, based on my experience, some of motions for reconsideration are actually resolved after how many years? So wala talaga po yan on the part of the COMELEC, hindi naman po sila bound as regards that period to resolve.
Ibig sabihin, even if there's an internal agreement, hindi po yan mandatory. That's what you're saying.
Even if there is a requirement in the rules as regards the period to decide, hindi po yan mandatory, because we have, of course, to remember that this is not the only case being resolved by the COMELEC. There are hundreds of cases being resolved by the NBank, not just regarding the 2022 elections, but even as regards the past elections. And of course, we add the fact that we also have administrative work. So in a way, yun po yung consideration natin doon, that while the case is of national importance, this is not the only job of the COMELEC at the moment.
As an election lawyer, though, looking into what has been submitted before the first division and the second division, the cancellation of the certificate of candidacy and the disqualification cases, how did you see these petitions?
Okay, very interesting yung issue. So number one, the first issue is, under the NIRC ba, yung non-filing of the ITR would constitute as a crime involving moral turpitude. So that is the first issue as regards Section 12 of the Omnibus Election Code. So ang second naman na issue dito is as regards the provision of NIRC itself, which actually says that if you are a government official at the time of conviction, that in addition to the fine or penalty or imprisonment or both, that you are actually perpetually disqualified to hold public office. So direkta mismo po yung tax code yung nagdi-disqualify sa'yo. So I think the Ferolino decision echoed the position of Commissioner Ko in his separate opinion as regards to sa second division case. Na sinasabi niya na as regards the 1986 filing, assuming arguendo na yung earlier years po, hindi na po magre-retroact ang batas because nag-take effect lang po yung provision as regards perpetual disqualification on January 1, 1986. Assuming for the sake of argument na mag-a-apply siya ng March 1986, ang sinasabi naman po doon ng Ferolino decision is that hindi daw po nakasulat yun, yung penalty na yun sa RTC and sa CA decision. And the decision insists that for it to apply to Mr. Marcos, it should be written in the decision itself. So I think these two issues are the two issues that eventually will be the focal points po pag inakyat to sa Korte Suprema.
Pero yung just a point that you raised, yung moral turpitude, no? Moral turpitude kasi yung parang ang sinasabi nga, well, there are two arguments, paulit-ulit na ginagawa ang isang maling bagay. And pangalawa, the Marcos camp is saying, non-filing of ITRs doesn't really constitute moral turpitude dahil yung moral turpitude daw ay mga krimen na matitindi, asuklab-suklab, etc., stuff like that, no? But there's a point here I wanted to raise on let's just jump into the effectivity of the perpetual disqualification, which came in 1986, which is January 1, supposedly, of 1986. BBM did not file his ITR 82, 83, 84, 85. So I think that 82, 83, 84, exempted na po siya doon. Hindi siya covered ng perpetual disqualification. But here comes 1985, which should have been filed sometime in April 1986. Does the perpetual disqualification cover his non-filing in 1985, which he should have done in 1986?
Well, the Ferolino decision actually echoed the position of Commissioner Ko, that notwithstanding the fact that he actually left the Philippines, applicable pa rin sa kanya yung NIRC provision. It must be recalled that the decision of the second division said that because daw of the People Power Revolution, hindi na daw po mag-a-apply yung tax code sa kanya. So actually, the Ferolino decision did not agree to that second division position and instead echoed the position of Commissioner Ko in his separate opinion na sinasabi niya doon na applicable sa kanya. Yet the problem with the decision of the RTC and CA is that it did not include the penalty of
Perpetual
disqualification from holding public office. So yun po yung pinagtatalinan doon. So in a way,
Opo.
the first division ruling is an echo actually of the separate opinion of Commissioner po.
All right, election lawyer Emil Marañon. Sir, thank you so much for your time.
Maraming salamat po. Good morning.
We'll be taking a short break. We'll speak to former BIR Chief Kim Henares. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, former BIR Chief Kim Henares. Attorney Kim, welcome to The Source. Good to see you again.
Hi, thank you for having me, and happy Valentine's to you, your staff, and everyone who's watching.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too. Okay, I'm going to start with this, Attorney Kim. As a result of the junking of the disqualification case on Bongbong Marcos, a portion of the decision read this: the failure to file tax returns is not inherently wrong in the absence of a law punishing it. This particular sentence made the rounds on social media, to which some were actually arguing, oh, they won't file their ITRs since it's not inherently wrong and there is no law punishing it. Just to be clear, are we excused or will we have any liability if we don't file our ITRs?
Okay, since 1977, there's a provision. No? It has always been amended. The amendment is only a renumbering. No? I think now it's to Section 255. It said, among other things, there's an enumeration of things that you will be fined and imprisoned. No? Among them are non-filing of returns. So if you don't file a return and you are required to file it, then if you are convicted, you will be subject to a fine of not less than 10,000, imprisonment of from 1 year to 10 years. So there is a penal provision for failure to file a return.
Okay, so let's not use that. Let's not use that particular sentence, which was making the rounds on social media. That was part of the decision of Commissioner Ferulino, but that was just a portion of her decision. It continued on to say this: the said omission, which was the failure to file income tax returns, became punishable only through the enactment of the tax code. Even the 1977 National Internal Revenue Code recognizes that failure to file income tax is not a grave offense, as the violation thereof may be penalized only by a fine. But there was a penalty of imprisonment. The 1977 NIRC gave the court discretion to either impose a fine or imprisonment, or both, which actually what happened in the Quezon City RTC. Just to be fair, I wanted to read more, a portion. I hope you are okay with that. The penalty of perpetual disqualification by reason of failure to file income tax returns was not provided for under the original 1977 National Internal Revenue Code. My question to you, Attorney Kim, is this accurate?
It's about the perpetual disqualification.
Opo, the penalty of perpetual disqualification by reason of failure to file ITR was not provided for under the original 1977 National Internal Revenue Code.
Okay, the provision for perpetual disqualification covers government officials who failed to do any of the acts required under the National Internal Revenue Code. And it applies when you
Okay, we don't have a stable signal with Attorney Kim Henares. That's why we're losing. Okay, we're going to take a break. The best thing to do right now, because the connection is unstable, let's call her so we have a better understanding of the interview. We'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb, our source today, former BIR Chief Kim Henares. Attorney Kim, so babalikan ko po yung tanong ko before we lost you. So nakasulat ho kasi doon sa decision, yung tatagalugin ko po sa parts, no, yung penalty ng perpetual disqualification sa hindi pagpa-file ng income tax return, hindi daw provided, hindi nakapaloob sa original 1977 National Internal Revenue Code. I just want to stick to that because gusto ko po himayin yung decision. Tama ho ba ito?
Alam nyo, ang 1977 tax code marami hong amendment, no? Isa ho dito ay yung amendment ho ng Presidential Decree. I'm not exactly sure the number, 1998 or 1995 po, no?
1994, I think.
1995?
I think it's 1994. PD 1994.
Whatever. One of those numbers. So, yun hong batas na yan, pinirmahan ho ni President Ferdinand Marcos noong November yata ho ng 1985. At nakasaad ho doon sa batas, effective ho ito ng January 1, 1986. So, hindi niyo pwedeng sabihin na walang ganong provision sa 1977 tax code kasi yung PD na yan, part yan ng 1977 tax code.
Okay.
Amendment yun eh. So, pag tinignan yung title, naka-title pa rin the 1977 National Internal Revenue Code. No? So, it's hindi ho eksaktong tama yung pagkasabi na yan. Kasi pag sinabi mo 1977 tax code, kasama ho lahat ng batas na nag-amenda sa kanya. Di ba ho?
Pati yung amendments, na nagkaroon ng amendment noong 1985 na naging effective in 1986, to which I want to bring this discussion, no, Attorney Kim. I had Attorney Vic Rodriguez last week regarding this. I was just curious because it was quite interesting to me as a non-lawyer na BBM did not file in 82, 83, 84, 85. Sabihin po natin, wala pang perpetual disqualification, naging effective lang in 1986. Kumbaga, parang natanggal po, or for lack of a better word, hindi po pasok yung perpetual disqualification sa non-filing niya ng 82, 83, 84. However, yung 1985 po na non-filing of ITR, which should have been filed in 1986, to me, as a non-lawyer, pasok ho yung perpetual disqualification kasi naging effective po ito January 1, 1986. If he did not file his ITR in 1985, he should have filed it, supposed to be in April of 1986. Hence, dito po pumasok si perpetual disqualification. Is that correct?
Yes, tama ho kayo. So, yung 1982, 83, 84, yung argument yan yung moral turpitude. Pero yung income niya ng 1985, yan yung papasok yung perpet. Pwede mo rin ilagay sa moral turpitude, no? Pero napakaliwanag ho, siguro mas simple ang usapin pag tinanong mo yung 1985 na income na in-earn niya na dapat niya i-file noong 1986. So, dahil may school of thought na dahil may requirement ka mag-file noong April 15, 1986 at hindi mo ginawa, pasok ka ngayon dito sa amendment na ito. Na kasi government official ka pa naman noon, hindi ka pa pinapalitan. At saka deadline ho yan. So, ibig sabihin, meron kang pagkakataon mag-file from January to April 15. Hindi mo naman kailangan antayin yung deadline at hindi mo yan ginawa. So, may binayolate kang provision sa tax code na na-convict ka. Diba kasi in RTC, conviction yan eh. So, dapat yung perpetual disqualification, whether nakasulat dun sa judgment ng RTC o hindi, kasama ho yan kasi meron na hong Supreme Court decision na nagsasabi na kung may crime ka na na-convict maski hindi nakasulat sa judgment mo, automatic kasama yung accessory penalties.
I see. So there is jurisprudence on this because I'm also looking into the fact that in the Quezon City RTC and in the CA ruling, there was no such thing as perpetual disqualification from public office, to which the petitioners are insisting, alam mo ito kung ikaw yung na-convict dito.
Whether alam niya o hindi, dura lex sed lex, di ba? Sabi ng Supreme Court, maskin ho hindi nakasulat sa judgment, kasama ho yung mga accessory penalty. So, ang patakaran sa Pilipinas, ang desisyon ho ng Supreme Court takes precedent and form part of the law of the land.
Mm-mm.
Yun ho.
Pero ito pong non-filing niya I just want to set aside the 82, 83, 84, no, because I do recall you saying posibleng dito din pumasok si moral turpitude, but that's another argument. If we have time, I'd like to talk about that. But is the focus, or should the focus be the non-filing in 1985, which she should have filed in 1986, to which the penalty of perpetual disqualification came into effect?
I think the focus is, if you're filing a complaint, diba, you should put all your complaint in the complaint. Diba? So, dalawa ho yun pwede niyong i-cite, no? First, yung moral turpitude. Second, itong perpetual disqualification, no?
Mm-mm.
Dapat yung dalawa ho ang dinidiscuss nung complaint. Hindi lang ho yung moral turpitude. Kasi yung moral turpitude, ano ba, maraming interpretation, hindi mo alam kung saka yung moral turpitude na crime na yan, diba ho, pag sinerve, cover to yan ng Omnibus Election Code. Pag ni-serve mo na yung sentence, di ba, after 5 years, parang pwede ka na naman.
Mm.
So, ibang issue yung moral turpitude. Itong violation ng NIRC, perpetual ito. Walang after ilang years, pwede ka na naman. Yung talagang perpetual ho yan. No? Yun.
But meron ho bang, go ahead, Attorney Kim.
Ngayon, pag diniscuss mo kasi yung moral turpitude, assuming sabihin mo may moral turpitude, yung next argument niya, na-serve ba niya ho yung penalty, yung fine, di ba? Yung fine na yan, dapat ho, nandoon yan doon mo ho yan isasettle sa korte. Yun, so yun one argument, na-serve ba niya ho yung fine? Kasi pag hindi niya na-serve yung fine, yung disqualification niya, nandyan pa rin.
Mm-mm.
Ayun po.
Dahil kailangan i-fulfill yung inutos ng korte.
Kasi sabi ng
magbayad ng fine.
Election Code, pagkatapos mo mag-serve, after you completed the service of the penalty, which is the fine, diba, there's parang 5 years. After 5 years, pwede ka na naman tumakbo.
Okay. Attorney Kim, as a last question, what do you think, or how do you see this affecting siguro tax cases in the future, or for those who might intend to run in a similar situation after this ruling, just by the COMELEC for now?
Alam nyo, first, si BBM, malaki siyang tao, mayaman, na-convict pa rin siya eh. Di ba? So ito, pinag-uusapan natin disqualification na hindi naman whether makukonvict ka o hindi. Kasi the fact is na-convict siya. Okay? Second, this question of BBM is, as far as the National Internal Revenue Code is concerned, is unique to him kasi nga may argument na income yan ng 1985, filing yan for 1986, tapos may argument pa sila na wala sila dito. Hindi na naman yata yan, wala nang application yan to anyone else. Diba? Tingin ko wala na ibang kandidato may ganung senaryo. Kasi yung ibang kandidato na maliwanag, after 1986, pag na-convict ka, ikaw ay government official, na-convict ka ng for any violation of the tax code, you are perpetually disqualified. So, going forward, I would think it's very clear because now we're discussing it. Diba? So everyone knows. Siguro dati hindi alam ng tao na may ganun perpetual disqualification. So, sure, dapat mas maingat na sila. Diba? Dapat nagpa-file sila ng income tax, hindi sila nagba-violate ng tax code. Kasi pag na-convict sila,
seryoso ang implication kapag ma-convict ang isang individual. Opo. All right. Thank you for that.
Itong magulo lang dahil nagko-cross ng years kay BBM.
Yeah. Actually, that's what I wanted to say to end the interview. Kasi gusto po yung oras natin. Yun po kasi siguro yung pagpalit yung pag-cross nga nung taon from the time na
Yeah.
hindi siya nag-file to the effectivity of the perpetual disqualification. And then number two, the second point was the defense that wala nga daw po sila dito at that time. But anyway, we've run out of time. Attorney Kim Henares, it's good to talk to you. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Sige po. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.